Dean Gordon Van Sky Hock. I was born in Jimtown, 1939.
Where did you go to school?
Bristol,
Okay.
Bristol School.
And did you attend college?
No, I didn't. I took some correspondence courses, and that helped me get a job at Miles.
Dean, what was your first job?
Fred Lutz, Bristol Lumber Company. Worked for him after school on Saturdays, and really enjoyed it. Very easy to work for.
When you worked for Red, how old were you when you first started there?
Oh, probably 17, maybe 16. I know I was driving.
Mm-hmm. What other kind of jobs and what other companies did you work for?
Well, Stuart Coach, when they were in business, I was very good friends with one of the owner's son, Terry Gardner, and we went out and had a lot of fun together. And I think I dated his sister once or twice. So.
Okay, so and where did you retire from?
Well, Bear Corporation, alias Miles.
Where are all the different places that you've lived in your life?
Well, not too many. Like I say, I was born in Jimtown, and then we moved out to the river, across from Nebbyville. There were some cottages across the road from that, and we lived in the first one. It's no longer there. And my mom and dad got a divorce, and we moved into Bristol and to a little house where the church is now. Nellie?
Mrs. Shaw.
Mrs. Shaw. And she was like a mother to me. We lived upstairs, and I got sick. Dad go to work, and she'd bring me chicken noodle soup and just take care of me like I was her own. Never forget her.
Now, when you were living there, is that when you started going to school at Bristol?
No, I started going to school when we lived out across in Nebbyville in 1945.
What was your favorite class in school?
I think senior. We're old enough to appreciate things we didn't when we was younger. And we looked forward to graduation, at least I did. It was kind of the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. And I guess that was my favorite year.
I'm going to ask you a question. What got you interested in flying radio-controlled airplanes?
My brother, he's 13 years older than I, and he'd build these gliders. This is back in the days before they had radio control. And I started building, and I got the bug, and I'm still building and making them. And it's a very enjoyable hobby, especially in the wintertime when you can't do too much outdoors at my age. I got my little room where I build model airplanes. But I remember flying one before the radio was control as sophisticated as it is now, or dependable. And we chased that thing. It started going a big circle, heading to the north. And it went right over Bristol. And I don't remember flying in that. Yes, I did too. Somebody, I don't remember, was on the north side of the river. It landed perfectly in their backyard, wasn't even damaged. I couldn't believe it. Our flying club had a field out at Bullards on Conner Road. What is that? 14. And there was a cornfield on the south side, big cornfield. And when an airplane goes down in there, you don't find it very well in the fall when the corn's high. But we did find it. Fortunately, it was a color that showed up. There was about 4 of us went out, rose apart, and we finally found it.
All right, Dean, can you describe for me the first memories of Bristol that you had as a child?
Yes, I can. It was the free shows they had. I forget what night it was, Monday night, and I would ride my bicycle 3 to 4 miles in from where we lived, out across from Bonneville, or Nibbyville. And we'd go, kids, we'd all meet there, John Landis and Jim Conover, and I don't know who all, Larry Garver. We'd sit on the ground and watch free movies. That's the thing I remember most.
Can you describe for me the neighborhood that you grew up in? I mean, Nibbyville.
Yes, I can. Of course, Nibbyville, Jerry Biddle's folks lived in the big house. And I understand Sarita, his mom, was a Niblock. Thank you. And we was very good friends, so we was close together. So we played together a lot. Played in the big barn in the hay like kids do. Oh, we'd go in the cornfield, and after it was picked especially, and we'd pick up the cobs. This was Charlie Phillips, and went in his dad's shop and took a spike nail, and we sharpened it at both ends, sharpened the head off, stuck it in the soft part of the corn cob, went out in the chicken coop and got 3 chicken feathers and stuck them in the back. That was our original lawn jarts.
What was your fondest memory of going to school here at Bristol?
As you can tell, we had a cafeteria, and it was 50 cents a day for your meal. You could pay by the week, which I usually did. But Mrs. Teal was cook there, and she made the best cinnamon rolls in northern Indiana or lower Michigan. And it was chili when they had it once a week. Cinnamon rolls and chili. And me and Jim Conover and John Landis is all I'd go back and wait till all the line went through and you'd go back for a second. Boy, we'd get another cinnamon roll. Of course, we could eat back then, another bowl of jelly. But them cinnamon rolls, I just haven't had any that sticks in my memory like those did.
Did you ever meet any girls in school?
Several. I'm married to one of them. No, yeah, I dated a couple girls, and one gal I dated, we was in the back seat, and I think John Landis was driving in the front, and we just came from a drive-in, and I had a root beer, so I made the mistake of setting it in the shelf in the back window. Well, he happened to stop a little fast, and my date wore that root beer. We never dated after that.
Can you describe for me a local business that's no longer here in Bristol that you miss and would like to see back in town?
King's Grocery Store. Old Gus and Claude King. Claude more or less took care of the butcher end of it. But I remember very distinctly going in there, and he had the barrels. They weren't the big ones, but barrels, about 30 gallon. And he had a candy in each one. You go in there and buy those candies, a little bag full for, I think it was a nickel or something. So we always had noon lunches. We always had an hour. And we'd go, that's where we'd head up there and buy some candy.
What did you like most about growing up in Bristol?
Well, now that I think back, it had to be because it was a small town. And you knew half the people. You could ride your bike in there and didn't have to worry about head to head with a car because there's hardly any traffic. And like I say, I think the fondest memory I remember is the free movies.
If you were to give some advice to somebody moving into a small community like Bristol, what would that advice be?
Well, my advice is I think you'll enjoy it very much. Everything's handy, grocery stores, everything's handy, but hardware right now. And you'll get to know most of the people, and everybody's friendly. Everybody's friendly.
What are your thoughts about and how important is it to you for these memories and for the history of a small town like Bristol with like our Bristol Heritage Group with memories of your growing up and that. How important is it to you for that type of thing to be preserved?
Oh, I think it's very important because people moving into Bristol, some of them are very interested in the past. And so I think this is great doing this because a lot of people like to have a little history of where they're moving to. So I think it's very good.